No one expects to come into your office to receive services for free unless that's what you've told them is acceptable.
Hello, I'm your host, Dr. Richard Avery, and welcome to the Elite Chiro website Crushing It podcast, the chiropractic marketing podcast where we interview experienced and successful chiropractors and they share their trials and tribulations and their secrets to how they grew their successful clinic. We all know how important it is to have massive community awareness to drive an abundant number of new patients to your clinic. We also know the vast majority of those seeking out a chiropractor surge online above anything else. And that's why Elite Chiro websites have crafted the most powerful chiropractic website templates to enhance your visitors' experience and visitor to new patient conversion. In addition, only Elite Chiro websites optimize our clients for an incredible industry-leading 45 keywords on the page 1 of Google. And only Elite Chiro websites offer a keyword guarantee. In fact, we're so confident in our website and our results that we'll give you a 2-month free trial, no catches, no obligation, and no credit cards required. To get your free trial, simply visit EliteChiroWebsites.com or call 1-888-558-5054 today. Okay, docs, are you ready to crush it? Crushing it. Dr. Hayden is the embodiment of intense passion, determination, and certainty. She opened up her practice in a rural town in southeastern Michigan in December of 1998. And question, who opens up the practice just before Christmas? But within 90 days, she was serving 180 office visits per week, which led to her renowned 0 to 180 in 90 days or less teleclass series that she has taught to chiropractors all over the globe since 1999. Dr. Barbara brought our profession such great things as the Whiteboard Topics, the sticky note system, the referral gift package, all of which has been successfully used by thousands of chiropractors. Dr. Barbara is one of those let's cut to the chase, make millions happen kind of people. She's authentic, rugged, and poised to help each of her clients gain absolute certainty with what they want, how to get it, and keep it. Dr. Eden, thank you for joining our show. I know we've had a lot of scheduling issues and we finally got you on, so I'm really, really pumped.
Well, thank you for having me, and thanks for being patient and understanding of my crazy schedule. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no worries, no worries. I think we both have a crazy schedule, so thank you for your understanding. So I said a few things about yourself in the intro, so tell us a bit more about yourself and the new things that are happening.
Okay, I'll start with yesterday. Last night, my husband and I, we live in Eagle River, Alaska, which is a suburb of Anchorage, and we went to the Alaska Mining Convention. Like, who goes to that? But it was really fun, and one thing I love about living here is everyone here is very much into taking care of themselves, like subsistence fishing, subsistence hunting. And subsistence is like being able to use the land to take care of yourself. So we process all of our own meat. I got my first moose this year. Woo!
Hey,
Thank you. I also landed my first 130-pound halibut. And so our freezer is like, actually, we have 2 huge upright freezers that are full of meat that we have harvested, that we have processed on our own, and that takes care of our family throughout the year. And I really see that like living here is very much like the chiropractic lifestyle. It doesn't take long to either investigate our profession or be in our profession to know that you've got to be rugged. You've got to have like some thick skin. You have to be willing to defy the norm. You have to be willing to make your own way, to look outside the box, to live outside the box, to get up quickly when you have fallen down. And to me, like living in Alaska is the full embodiment of that life up here is different than anywhere else, just like the way that we crazy chiropractors think. We think differently than anybody else. We don't inject ourselves or our children with vaccines or harmful drugs. We trust the power of the body to heal itself from the inside out, provided there's no interference, provided that you're giving your body what it needs to be healthy. And it's just like living here. Alaska is an amazing place if you get out and explore, if you get out and do things. If you just sit inside, you would hate this place. And so for me, living here directly parallels my chiropractic philosophy, which I love.
Outstanding. Yeah, great analogy. Great analogy. You know what? This is actually a perfect time for your podcast. December is right around the corner. And you know what? A lot of chiropractors at this time of year, the busy chiropractors have a lot of clients and patients and stuff. It's a great successful time because, people that want to use up their experience, their insurance and stuff, their clinics can get really busy. But for those chiropractors that either are new chiropractors or slow chiropractors, this is a really scary time because, a lot of people are not focused on their health at this holiday. They're focused on family gatherings and buying presents and cutting down trees and all that sort of stuff. So, you know what? This is a scary time, but, you have a great program, a great marketing campaign, and to get these people through the hard times and promote their clinic and be successful. And, in this podcast, it's all about talking to real chiropractors, their real experiences, their fears, their challenges, their hard times, and how they overcame their challenges. So that being the case, what was your biggest fear when you started practice, and how did you overcome it? Now, I should have the audience know that you're no longer in practice, that you do coaching instead, but you had a very successful practice.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going back in time here, but obviously your information is obviously extremely relevant. So again, what were your biggest fears?
So I live by a philosophy, and it's been really fun to see my kids live by that same philosophy. By God's grace, they've followed in their mom's footsteps of the right things that I did, and so far they haven't done all this stupid stuff. So thank you, Jesus, for that. And my philosophy is this: if some other schmuck on the planet can do it, I can too. And if it hasn't been done, it may take me a little bit longer, but I'll figure it out. So with that being said, I don't mean this to sound trite, but the only fear that I remember is not making it, and therefore not carrying on the legacy that my dad and my grandfather drove into my brain from the time I was small. And that was my dad nor my grandfather were chiropractors. I'm from a small farming community in southeastern Michigan, 22 miles from the state line of Ohio. And my grandfather was an incredible businessman, and so was my father. And I was always taught, riding around in the back seat, or actually I spent a lot of time sitting on the floor of the combine with my dad, or run into the granary in the semi, or whatever it happened to be. And we always talked a lot, and he always told me, Barb, always be your own boss. Life isn't fair, and it's not always fun. Work hard, and when people are there, be there. So the only fear I really had was living up to that. And it wasn't like a fear like I see a lot of clients where they have these unrealistic expectations of themselves and what they have to produce. It's not that kind of thing. It was more of like this just raw passion and energy of let me at it. I can't wait. I'd get to the office at 4:00 in the morning and, leave at 8:00 at night because I just had a blast. You go through undergrad, then you go through chiropractic college, and you overcome so much. While I was in chiropractic college, I had 2 kids. I got married. I had some disruptions and had to take some time off school and went back to school. So just graduating was, to me, an incredible feat that now, all right, I've passed my boards. I'm ready to rock and roll. So, I can't say as though I had fear as much as just this insatiable energy and passion to put to use what I had learned. And I think maybe I'm a little different than some chiropractors, and I'm clients that I've met that are really good in business, or like you, Doc. For me, the thing that I loved most about practice was the business side of it. Doing statistical analysis to see all right, we did this system and we tweaked it just a tiny bit. We ran the system consistently for 6 weeks. I can see that. I charted that. I have all of my evidence. And now to do that analysis and moving forward. So tweaking a marketing campaign a tiny bit to see, all right, well, instead of attracting 10 new practice members that week from that marketing campaign, now we're attracting 18, or now we're attracting 20. And for me, I loved that. And I loved in my practice being the hostess with the mostest, like running out and seeing somebody who had a hard time getting out of their car and just like running out the front door to go and help them, or the mom who's like trying to carry a baby in one arm and like that car seat thing in another, and another one hanging on her leg, and running out and helping them. I just love people. And so I don't know that I have an answer for you about fear, other than the fear of not continually growing.
And that's a fear that a lot of chiropractors have. They fear failure, but in your case, you just want to make sure that you're constantly reaching your goals, that you're ever increasing goals, and that's what all chiropractors should have. And you know what? That enthusiasm, that excitement about helping people, healing the world and building your practice and building your business, that'll help you get through a lot of the hard times. Because if you don't have that enthusiasm, when you get knocked with some kind of challenge, you'll just crumble. But that's that enthusiasm that kind of carries you through all these hardships, which is a great segue to my next question. Obviously, when you first opened up your practice, and again, especially in during the Christmas time, you were successful right from the start. But obviously, just like with any business, you have your ups and downs. What was a difficult period in your clinic, like the worst time in your clinic, and how did you overcome it?
Well, not to be too personal, and this isn't like to get anybody to feel sorry for me or whatever, but while I was in practice, I found out that my husband at the time had been cheating on me our entire marriage, and we were in practice together. Well, I say that loosely because he didn't really show up to the office very often. So, that was obviously a really big challenge, to know that this person you're doing life with is, I always said, there was a lot of sex going on in our marriage. It's just I wasn't a part of it.
Oh, oh,
I mean, you have to laugh.
yeah.
And so actually the year that I found out about it, it was February of 2012. And that year was an amazing time in my practice. And I think it was just God's grace in my life to be able to share this story with others throughout the past 16 years of, even if there's chaos going on in your life, and many times that chaos is when we're out of control. Obviously, I didn't have control of the situation of what he was doing clearly, because that's not what I would have prescribed for myself or my children. And so I was able to really be singularly focused in my practice, and to pour tons of energy into my practice, and to get everything so incredibly refined and run the systems, because I didn't have any extra energy at all to miss a beat in practice. I didn't have any extra energy or time to waste in my office, because there was so much chaos I was dealing with outside of my practice. So for those of you who may be listening, who are going through maybe something similar, maybe it's a struggle in your family, health-wise, or your children, I'm here to tell you, you can rise to the occasion and make it your best year ever in practice. And I'd be delighted to help you do that. If you need help, please shoot me an email, drb@drbarbaraeaton.com. Dr. Richard will have that email address for you too, so I'm not going to go back and repeat it slowly, because you can find it out. But I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be the worst thing. Like my husband now, so obviously he and I divorced, that guy, and my husband now had testicular cancer in his 30s, the same cancer that Lance Armstrong had, and went to the same oncologist and did the same kind of thing. And one thing that really attracted me to him when we were dating was he always said, I've never had a bad day. I'm like, how can you be told you're going to die in your 30s and just say, I've never had a bad day? And the reason why is because, and I think this is what brought both of us together, is instead of the worst thing that's ever happened to us defining our lives, we instead looked for the best things that have ever happened to us to define us. He's never wanted to be known as a cancer survivor. And most people that know him don't know that. And I don't want to be known as the woman whose husband cheated on her for a decade. that's just kind of like a blip in the radar. And I'm here to tell you that the best things that happen to you in your life can be your defining moments instead of the worst. So being singularly focused in your practice makes all the difference in the world, because then you can actually show up present time conscious. Like, that's a term I think we throw around too loosely in our offices. And for me, present time conscious was literally saying to my practice members, here's what you're getting from me at my table. I take excellent care of myself. I get great sleep. I get it checked at least once a week, and I have since I was a year and a half old. I feed myself well. I have awesome relationships. I'm a great mother. I have a wonderful spiritual relationship with my creator. That's what you're getting when I show up to this table. What are you bringing when you show up to the table? And that means that I'm present time conscious. I've left all of the other garbage out. Now, life is holographic. I get that. But this is where we tap into, I think, our entrepreneurial spirit of concentration, of being able to leave all of that other stuff aside. And I was famous for, I had yellow sticky pads all over the office, because when something came to my mind that wasn't immediately a part of either the conversation I was in or the person I was with, I would grab a sticky note, I would write it down, and I'd slap that sticky note on the counter where I was standing or my desk or wherever it was. And then at the end of each shift, my CA would go around, she'd collect those up. She'd put the ones that I had to do on a piece of paper or the ones that she had to do, because I didn't want a bunch of stuff bouncing around in my head that would take me off focus from the person I was talking to. They were paying me to help them, and they deserved my concentration.
Yeah, and I think what you're getting at is, you'll always have these negative factors in your life that you can focus on, or you can focus on the positive. So it sounds like you just basically became laser focused or hyper focused on the positivity of building your clinic, and just pushing away and shielding yourself from all the negativity. And that helps you build your practice.
Absolutely.
And then I think that's what you have to do. Yeah, you have to do that, because there's a lot of negative things. You'll hear negative things about chiropractic in the media, or you'll have problems maybe paying your rent at your clinic, or you hurt a patient, or a patient's complaining about you, and you can focus on that negative stuff and just have that bring you down. But you know what? By doing that, it's only going to, hinder your growth and hinder your potential. Forget about the negative. Negative will always happen. Focus on the positives, become hyper-focused on the things that you want to achieve, and ultimately you'll achieve it.
Yeah, and I think with that, so often I'll hear people say, well, you just don't get it. You're right. I don't know everything about your situation. However, I have shelves full of books about triumph. And that's another thing. If you aren't actively reading nonfiction, business strong entrepreneurial books, whether it's Malcolm Gladwell. My favorite book is Entrepreneurial Genius by Gene Landrum, who is the creator of Chuck E. Cheese, which that means nothing other than that is a phenomenal book of looking at what it's really like to be a successful entrepreneur, whether it was Henry Ford or it's Jeff Bezos. And you will never find in any of those stories that it was smooth sailing. I can see it as much as I can see my calendar sitting here next to me, sitting in my bed one day talking to my dad. So my parents used to vacation in the Florida Keys for 8 months out of the year. And so my parents were the youngest people that lived in this gated community of tennis players and boaters. So at any rate, I was kind of like boo-hooing to my dad, like, it's just so much work, Dad, and every day it's just like grind. And so he let me lament, and then he's finally like, hey, Barb, so check this out. I'm surrounded by people in their 70s and 80s who just now took their foot off the pedal. Just now. And they've been grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding. And yet they've loved the journey because they own their own business. They create their own story. They create their own lifestyle, because the purpose of our business is to fund our lifestyle. So I would challenge anyone who's boo-hooing, and this isn't to make you feel bad. This is like tough love. Stop your boo-hooing and do something for somebody else. Like the The best thing to do when you don't have a friend, or the best thing to do when you feel sorry for yourself, is pour into the life of somebody else. So if that's you today, go into your practice and serve. And have your hand out. No one expects to come into your office to receive services for free unless that's what you've told them is acceptable. Your lifestyle. And if you're not getting paid, it's your own fault. I can help you with that, but it's your own fault, because no one expects to come into your office to receive services for free unless that's what you've told them is acceptable.
Perfect. And if whoever's listened to the podcast before, they all know that I'm a firm believer, and I've always said it, that you're a business person first before you're a chiropractor. And Amen. I'll say that because if you can't run a business, you're not a chiropractor, because you have no one to adjust.
Yep.
So you have to have that mindset. You have to have that business mindset. And yeah, like Dr. Eaton said, it's really important. Forget about reading fiction or fictional books. And I mean, it's always important. I mean, it helps you with creativity. But at the same time, you need to focus on books that will build your business. Like, I don't know, like my favorite book is Influence by Robert Cialdini. I just made a post about that book, Lyconomics. Things that are going to help grow your business. If you don't know how to grow your business, you're dead in the water. You're going to be like all these other chiropractors that have such slow practice. They might be great adjusters, but they have all these slow practices because they don't know how to market their business. They're not business people.
And you know what? I'll tell you, I was not the best chiropractor, but I sure as heck am an amazing businesswoman.
There it is. You know what? There's always going to be someone better than you in terms of adjusting. I wasn't the best either. There's always someone better. But he who markets the most wins. Period. That's the way it is, right?
Right.
So what separated your clinic from your competition, your other chiropractors that are just down the road? What distinguished your clinic from the others? Why do people come to see you?
Lots of reasons. And you know how I knew? Because I asked them. In the sticky note system and in 0 to 180, I teach a lot about testimonials. Why? Because they're a greatest source of believability. The easiest way to bring yourself up if you're down in a day, get out a handful of testimonials and start reading them. Start posting them on all your social media sites. Put them up around your office. Share them with your practice members. If you're not asking for testimonials, shame on you, because it gives your practice members also an opportunity to tell you how much they appreciate you, how awesome they're doing. And sometimes I've heard people say, well, I don't want to brag. Hey, guess what, doc? It's not about you. It's about the change in their life as a result of their body coming alive from the inside out. It is your responsibility to find out those stories and to tell them to others so they can follow in their healthy footsteps. For me, asking for referrals is an act of love and service. If you don't care about your practice members, if you don't care about the people they surround themselves with, you won't ask for referrals. It's not about being needy. It's not about any of that. It's about sharing the opportunity to regain and keep your health and have a fabulous life. That's what asking for referrals is about. And it's really easy when you have testimonials. If testimonials weren't a powerful thing, we wouldn't see celebrities and athletes getting paid millions of dollars to endorse a product they probably don't even use. So yeah. in terms of, I'm sorry, I don't even know if I remember your question. What separates me? So what separates me, whether it was in my practice or in coaching, is authenticity. If you haven't been able to tell yet from the podcast, I tell it like it is. I don't hold back any punches. Just like when I was on a call the other morning, I was like, so I always end my coaching calls with this, like, what was your favorite part about our call today? And my client said, you just always tell it to me straight. And I said, that's always your answer. And she's like, I don't have another answer because it's really the truth. Like, you're always going to be honest with me. And that's absolutely true. So, it was always meeting people where they are. And I believed in doing these 4 things. And if you don't get anything else out of this podcast today, please adopt these 4 things and do them consciously, meaning look at them, plan them, assign them to specific people. My coaching community, we call that targeting. So it's applause, approval, appreciation, and acceptance. I made people so proud of who they were, even if it was just noticing something small like, hey, Johnny, nice new shoelaces. You have great taste. Or like just being a little bit slower or gentle with somebody. I mean, when you leave practice and you still have a relationship with the people that you left your practice, and they tell you things like, you know what, the thing that made the biggest difference was just how much you cared, how much you loved me, the things that you taught me about life and about health that I'm still doing now. I just got a Facebook message the other day from a gal that I adjusted. She was only in high school when I adjusted her. Now she's married and a successful real estate agent. And she's like, you know what I still say all the time is carry, don't carry, and never chase. I'm like, yes. So it was teaching practice members things like that. So what I did better was being human and meeting people where they were and giving them a bigger vision than the one they currently held for themselves.
Yeah, yeah. And just to rewind a bit, when you said being straightforward, I think that is such an important concept to have in your mind at all times with dealing with patients, consultations, and your ROFs or people in your audience. You know, a lot of chiropractors, I wouldn't say a lot, but there are those chiropractors they have a quiet practice and they're desperate for new patients. So they'll say anything it takes that they can heal anything to bring in a new patient just so that they have them and generating some income. The thing is this, and I've said it during the podcast and all the consultations that I've had with other docs, is tell the patient the way it is, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you think that there's a possibility that you can't heal that patient, let them know. They'll appreciate that honesty because they may have bounced from chiropractor to chiropractor or other healthcare disciplines, and they've told them the same thing. Oh yeah, you know what? Your problem? I've seen it a million times. You know, I've done it, treated it, and we've healed them all, and they failed. So they want to go to a chiropractor. They want to go to a practitioner that says, you know what? You do have a difficult case. I am experienced, and we've had some great results. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to lie to you, you have a very serious condition that we might not be able to heal to the level that you're looking for, or you might not get any results, period. But what we're going to do is we're going to address your condition. We're going to do periodic examination to make sure that you're healing properly, and then make adjustments accordingly. And if you're not healing the way we want you, then you know what? I'm going to refer you to someone that's better suited for your condition. And you know what? People love that honesty. They love that honesty because you're not trying to sell them the snake oil, this 100% healing capability that you have in your clinic. They don't want to hear this. It's just not believable. But by saying that they may not heal under your care, they're more likely to undergo your services because you're being real with them. You're just being straightforward and being transparent with them. You know, that's the new thing. It's transparency. Always be transparent.
Yeah, and you know, it's not our job, in my opinion, to heal anybody. It's my job is to locate and correct vertebral subluxation and provide a safe and healing environment for you. It's your job to do everything that you can to turn your cells on in your body to make them better. As your chiropractor, my job is to find those interferences in your nerve system and in your spine and correct them. But you got to take care of yourself. Like, don't think that. So the average age, at least wise in the United States, I don't know if that's in Canada too, is 47 years old when someone starts chiropractic care. All right, so they've had 47 years of physical, chemical, and emotional stress greater than their body's ability to adapt. That's subluxation. So to think that you're going to bring in your broken down, busted up, beat up body and I'm going to heal it is out of just insanity. So instead, we partner together in your journey and I'll support you. And if I can't help you, I won't stop until I find somebody who can. But this is a partnership here, and you have to work as hard as I do.
Good point. That's important because you have to make sure that your consultation, your patient takes ownership of their problem.
Mm-hmm.
They can't say, you know, I'm bringing my problem to you, you got to fix it. They have to take ownership because if for whatever reason you're not able to treat them to the level that they want or get them to the condition that they want to be in, you know what? They're not going to resent you, you know, because they've taken ownership of their condition.
So can I throw in something here just as a free tidbit?
Absolutely,
okay.
For sure.
So let's pretend that you're my practice member and you're like, hey, Dr. Barb, you know what? I'm just not really healing that fast, or it's not really going like I wanted it. So here's my immediate response, always knee-jerk response. And that is, number one, to say, hey, Richard, thanks so much for your confidence in our relationship that you'll be honest with me. The second part of that is, you've lived in your body longer than I have. Clearly, you know what you do every day, and you know what you've done every day until you met me. So let me ask you, what do you think is the number one cause that's keeping you from healing at the pace that you desire? And the reason why is, I'm not taking responsibility for your health. And 100% of the time they tell on themselves, like, well, doc, how you told me to stop, I don't know, drinking Coke. I'm kind of still doing that. All right, that's chemical stress. Or it could be, well, you know what? I started working a lot harder at the plant or wherever, and maybe that could be causing. All right, that's physical stress. So remember, physical, chemical, and emotional stress greater than our body's ability to adapt and cope with, or our body's ability to neutralize, causes subluxation. Subluxation is like me trying to talk to you with my hand over my mouth. If my hand is over my mouth, that's interfering in the communication that we're trying to have in order for life to be better. And that's the same thing when you're subluxated. So there are a couple of things that you can do. You can cut back at work. Doesn't sound like that's probably an option. Or increase your frequency of care. Be more aggressive. Just like if you're trying to get out of debt and you're noticing, like, I can barely stay ahead because of interest rates and fees and stuff, what are you going to do? You're going to be more aggressive. Instead of saving, or instead of throwing $500 a month to your debt, maybe you start throwing $1,000, actually see some changes. Same thing here. Let's increase your frequency of care from 3 times a week to 4 times a week for the next 3 weeks, and then we'll reevaluate. Don't be afraid to be more aggressive. And everything in life, we're more aggressive if we're not getting the results that we want. If you're not getting the grades you want, what do? You study harder. If your kids aren't obeying you, what do? You clamp down, hopefully. If in your marriage things are kind of like just charge neutral, what do? Well, you turn up the heat a little bit. So don't defy common sense when it comes to caring for your practice members.
Absolutely. Great advice. Powerful advice. On that note, in your system, and obviously, just from hearing you talk, you obviously have a very successful system. But at the top of the show, I mentioned, 3 marketing plans that you use. Obviously, when you first, my following question was, what is your marketing strategy when you first came out of practice? Obviously, when you opened up during a very slow or kind of a weird time, December, Christmas, you crushed it. You now develop these 3 systems or marketing campaigns, the whiteboard, the sticky notes, the referral gift package. Explain a bit more about those 3 systems.
Okay, so first, I want to go on record, like Dr. Richard and I have talked about this several times. Here's the deal. Newsflash. Marketing is not an event. Marketing is a system. And if you do marketing just when your numbers go down, it's no different than the practice member who's like, oh, doc, I haven't been here for 10 months, but my back is really sore. So like, fix me, pop me, crack me. You're doing the same thing. Instead, marketing is what we do from January 1st to December 31st. And in like these quote unquote slow months, they wouldn't be slow if you had established a marketing system for the year such that, so in my coaching community, starting the end of October, running through like the rest of this year, we do the holiday stress conversation. So we get into conversations with individuals about like, are the holidays more stressful? If they are, what impact does that have on your health? Oh, it makes me have more headaches. Is that okay with you? No, it's not. Great. Let's increase your frequency of care. So marketing is not an event. It's a system. Please write this down if you're taking notes today. Every successful system has these 4 things. It must be measurable, it must be reproducible, it must be innovative, and you must eliminate discretion. Number 4 is the hardest thing, because eliminate discretion is you don't do it just when you feel like it. So here's a great piece of advice actually I got from a pastor when I was young, and that was this. Don't wait for the emotion to override your inactivity. Take action and enjoy the emotion from your action instead of waiting for that emotion to spur you.
That's outstanding. And if you want to write another thing down, Write that down, docs, because that is perfect. That nails it.
Yeah.
You know, going back to the marketing, it has to be all year round. And it's actually a bad example, which I'm going to give you now, but it applies to all big businesses. You see McDonald's. Now, granted, they're kind of going down in terms of their business, but they market all year round. Everybody knows about McDonald's. Every kid knows about McDonald's. They market all year round. They don't just market when things are going down. They may change their marketing in terms of their message, but they're marketing all year round. Every successful business does. You have to do the same thing when you run a practice.
Absolutely. So
tell us about your whiteboard topics.
Yeah.
Sticky notes system you kind of alluded to, and if you want to elaborate, please, more the merrier. And your referral gift packets.
Yep. So here's the deal. In my 0 to 180 in 90 days or less teleclass program, it covers referral system. So there are 2 calls on that plus all the materials. Testimonial system, again, 2 calls on that plus all your materials. Financial system, same thing. And educational system. So a big part of education for me were whiteboard topics. And I know it's kind of been like bastardized by several other coaches and groups, and that's fine. I mean, use it. I hope it serves everyone well. But what it is kind of like that statement I just made of take action, enjoy the emotions from the actions versus waiting for the emotion to spur on your action. Like that would be a whiteboard topic that you engage with your practice members on. And in so doing, remember that retention is a function of education plus relationship. So relationship plus education equals retention. My PVA was 98 when I was in practice because I saw it this way. Like it's way easier to serve practice members over and over again than to constantly have a zillion new practice members in my office. And let's face it, our philosophy is above, down, inside out, lifetime care. So if you have people coming in the front door as fast as they're going out the back door, I'd say you may have an issue with your educational systems and your relationship building skills, in which case get them fixed, get them corrected, learn how to do it in a manner that works for you. And that's one thing in my coaching is that it's not one size fits all ever. And just like we in our philosophy say, let's celebrate our individuality. Let's celebrate innate expression, optimum expression of not one person, but each person. And so you need to make sure that your systems for success match you. Now, that does not mean that they're going to be comfortable. Success is not comfortable when you're first getting started. And so in terms of the things that I found most successful in my practice referral systems, every single day, every single shift, you better be targeting and asking for referrals. So in my coaching system, we have 10 ways to stimulate referrals every single day. 10 ways. Now,
okay, that was one of the questions that I have after. So, and then we'll get back to the whiteboard and sticky. But give us your top 2 ways in which you ask for referrals.
Okay. So the first would have some kind of lead in. You're either going to use an article, a testimonial, a whiteboard topic, or a relationship-based question. So if we can role play this for just a second, Richard, so people can hear that it's not salesy, I think that would be most helpful. So let's start with this. Hey, Richard, let me ask you something. What do you value most about our relationship and your care?
You getting me better.
Sweet. So define better for me. Like, how is it impacting the quality of your life?
You know what? I have severe back pain. I can't play with my kids, difficulty going to work or functioning at work, and just my daily activities.
And now those are 100% better, 50% better, 80% better?
Let's go with 50% better.
Right on. And it's been a pretty short amount of time. I mean, 6 weeks compared to, if I remember correctly, this problem has been like a thorn in your flesh for about 8 years, yes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm really happy.
Sweet. So let me ask you something. Who's the first person you'd like to see follow in your healthy footsteps?
My wife, for sure.
Tell me about her.
You know what? She's active, very active at the gym, but she has a lot of headaches. I've told her, but you got to do something about it. But yeah, she's Pretty busy person, very active, and again, suffers these crazy headaches.
Okay. So would you like to partner together to help her?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Totally. If I could.
So there are three ways that we can do that. Number one is I'll give you a referral gift packet, and I'll include in there articles about individuals who have overcome their challenges with headaches so that she understands the health behind it, the physiology behind it. I'll include in there success stories of other women just like her who've been getting adjusted, and now like headaches are like such a thing of the past. And I'll also include a gift certificate for a discounted first visit that will have an expiration date of 2 weeks. So make sure she stays active with that. The second option is that she can come with you on your next visit, meet me, see how we do things here, and see that, you know what, being healthy always fits into your busy lifestyle, because when you go down, then your whole life is in chaos trying to take care of the problem versus just being active like she is at the gym. Or number three, she can come with you to the Strategies for Healthy Living workshop. That's every Monday from 6 to 6:30. Well, she'll learn how to regain the health that she's lost, how to keep it once she finds it, and how to know the impact that chiropractic care will have on her life. So which of those three options, referral gift packet, guest on your next visit, or with you to the Strategies for Healthy Living workshop, works best for you?
Referral gift packet sounds great.
Perfect. So we'll get that together for you after your adjustment today, and you can hand it off to her, okay?
Perfect. That sounds pretty smooth.
That's it.
Sounds pretty smooth.
So that's the referral request on an ongoing basis that we have hopefully many times a day. And in my coaching community, we work education such that you've built up this huge crescendo about how amazing life can be that it would almost be rude not to ask for the referral. And I liken it, like, remember that our brain thinks in terms of pictures. So I liken it to, I have a gigantic kitchen. My husband and I love to cook. And the focal point of this kitchen is a two-tiered island. And so the bottom tier has multiple bar stools sitting there, and then the top tier is like in a V around that. So it would be like me inviting over our closest friends, and they're sitting there watching as my husband and I are making this fabulous meal of elk and venison and moose and shrimp and halibut and salmon. I know, it's a pretty amazing life. But at any rate, and then to just like eat it in front of them and never to give them the opportunity to partake in this amazing thing I've just created. And for me, that's how education needs to be in our practices, that we've built it up to be something so great that if you didn't ask for a referral, you're being kind of selfish. And so that's where the daily referral conversation happens, like I just said. And if you haven't created that tool, and the hardest thing in asking for referrals is your lead-ins. So your lead-ins are, like I said, an article, a testimonial, a whiteboard topic, or a relationship builder. And then my second favorite referral request comes in the family referral request. And in my community, we test it either during your report of findings. If we're not producing the results we're looking for during the report of findings, then we may push it off to the 4th visit or the 7th visit, or during visit 13 there, during the extended consultation. And that's simply letting them know this: hey, Richard, here's the cool thing. We have this awesome referral policy in our office. It's my favorite office policy, which says this: within the next 2 weeks, you can refer any of your friends and family members to follow in your healthy footsteps to receive a checkup, to find out if there's a way that I can help them have a better life. If I can help them, I'll tell them. If I can't, I won't stop until I find somebody who can. So let me ask you, who's the first person you'd like to see follow in your healthy footsteps and give this great gift to? That's it.
Nice. The direct approach. That's good.
Yeah, and here's the deal. Sell the checkup, not care.
Yes.
People have to first take that step of a checkup so that you can find out, can I help you, and what does that plan look like?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you know what? Even the most experienced chiropractors, it's still kind of a guess. When you go ahead.
So go ahead, please.
When you create your care plan, it's not like some scientific thing, because this person standing in front of you is not like in a petri dish. It's not a controlled environment. I don't care if you're in chiropractic or if you're in medicine or if you're in dentistry. It's a guess. It's an experiment. So start them in an aggressive care, my opinion, an aggressive care plan so that you can like override their nerve system with all kinds of deposits into their health account so they can enjoy great success and be encouraged to stick with it.
Right. And going back a bit, I think that when you're dealing with someone that's going to refer, or even dealing with a consultation or someone that you've met at a lecture or whatever, or promotion, like, again, sell them on the examination, the consultation. Don't sell them on the treatment.
Yes.
Because if you start to sell them on the treatment itself, then these barriers are going to go up. The psychological block will, pop up in their head saying, you know what? They don't even know what I have, and they're trying to sell me on treatments. You know what? There's something wrong with this picture.
Yep.
I think I won't use this person. But instead, if you're going to sell them on the consultation, say, you know what? Let's figure out what you have. Let's see if it's something that I can treat. And you know what? If it's not, I'll let you know, and I'll refer to someone that's, again, like I always say, someone that's better suited for your condition. So something really important for you docs to keep in mind: don't sell your potential patient on treatment, on the plan. Instead, sell them on the consultation. You're obviously going to tell them about your care, what's involved in your care, but you're not selling them on the plan itself.
Yeah, and a phrase I always used was, I'm never going to guess about your healthcare, ever. So and let's say you meet somebody out in the community, never diagnose on the spot. I just always say, hey, you know what? You seem like the kind of person who likes the best in life. Is that true? And everyone says, yeah, me too. And that's why I do my best work in my office. So Monday morning, 9 o'clock, come into my office. We'll have a consultation. If after the consultation you want to keep going and I do too, then you'll have a comprehensive exam, which includes your neurological exams, the surface EMG, a thermal EMG, range of motion, posture analysis. After that, I'll look at that and determine if you need x-rays. If you do, I'll tell you which x-rays you need and why. In my office, I'll never spend a dime of your money without your permission. You always know what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and how much it's going to cost. So if you're concerned enough about finding a solution to make that appointment, I'm happy to do that with you now.
Nice. Let me ask you, going back to the whiteboard and the sticky notes and the referral package, you mentioned that with the whiteboard, you have a topic of discussion, like on a whiteboard. Sticky note system, you put your notes, your thoughts on paper, put them around your clinic so, you get it out, you don't forget it, and then your staff picks them up. Referral gift package is when you give the person that's going to refer a little package, an envelope full of information, a gift certificate, and stuff like that. Now, again, I don't want to say defying all odds because obviously you're very good in business. But, again, you opened up your practice in a time where it's generally difficult to open up a practice and drive in a bunch of new patients. So what is the one thing that you think that you did in terms of your marketing that was the most effective in spreading the word about your clinic at that time?
So I just want to clarify something real quickly. The sticky note system is a system for practice members to keep us on track. So for instance, on the first 56 visits, every so many visits, there's something specific you do. Like we have 9 pitfall conversations. So every 6th visit, there's a specific conversation that you have with the practice member that makes sure they don't fall in that pitfall of becoming bored with care or thinking it's not working, or just that middle point, because I always did my care plans in 12 visit increments, that middle point of losing traction, of falling away. So the sticky note system.
That helps build patient compliance.
Yeah. And so there was like testimonial, there's a reminder of the re-exam, extended consultation, blah, 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 blah. So that's the sticky note system. And I do take docs through that in the 0 to 180 program. So going back to your question about like, what were the top things that I did, right? That was your question?
Yeah, to get your practice known, to bring in new patients.
Number one, it was being prepared. Before I even knew where I was going to practice, I hired a coach 5 months before. So I didn't have a lease. I just knew I wanted to open and I wanted to be prepared. I had a $100,000 student loan. My husband at the time had a $100,000 student loan, and I had 2 little kids, 2 years old and under. And I knew I had to hit the ground running. Perhaps some of you feel that same kind of pressure. So I wanted to open my doors and be ready. I wanted to know I had my consultation down, my report of findings down, my extended consultation, my all of those things. And so I trained and trained and trained. And so the best thing that you can do is to be prepared. Don't wing it. Like that is not why you spent all of these years in preparation. So number one was preparation. And that meant at the beginning of the day, before I ever saw a practice member, I was prepared. And that's where the sticky note system comes in, is we would look and see who's coming in today, what visit are they on, and how can we make this a remarkable visit. So I have a checklist for my docs that they walk through who's coming in that day. And these are the questions we ask them to make sure that this visit is extraordinary. So number one step is preparation. Don't get to your office 5 minutes before your practice members show up. And I liken it to, if you've ever been to a concert, can you imagine going, like Toby Keith is here next week. Can you imagine going to the Toby Keith concert and he rolls in at, let's say the concert is supposed to start at 7 and he gets there at 6:45. That wouldn't even happen. And all he's doing is entertaining. Like, you're dealing with people's health. You're dealing with their tough things in life. Their happy things in life. Please get to your office in time to be prepared. Don't be the one that rolls in and you already have an office full of people, even if that means coming back at lunch. If you find that your practice, like let's say you open at 3:00 and your practice members often come at 2:30, then you get there at 2:15. That is your office. And I'm here to tell you that most chiropractors are like overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, I work 30 hours a week. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? If this is something that you say all the time, I love chiropractic, I love helping people, but I only want to be here 15, 20 hours a week. Get real.
Yeah.
That's not even realistic. And I'm not saying that time equals money, because it doesn't. Busyness is not business ever, 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 ever. But if you really want to take a great test for this past week, write down how many adjustments you delivered, how many new practice member exams you did, how many reported findings, and give a value for each of those things. So let's say it takes on a high end 5 minutes for an adjustment. Okay, let's just say. So let's say it's 5 minutes for an adjustment and you adjusted 100 people. So we're at 500 minutes, right? Let's say that you had, I don't know, 5 new practice members, and between your consultation, your exam, all of that kind of stuff, your report of findings, let's say that you're with them for 2 hours, right? So it's 120 minutes. Everyone, I assume everyone's with me. So now we're at 600 minutes, right? All right.
Yeah.
So then let's say that you had 3 extended consultations and those take 20 minutes. So now we're at 60. So that's 1,160 minutes, right? So figure out how many hours you actually spent doing. So that's 19.3 hours. If you were in your clinic 30 hours, what did you do the rest of the time?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have 121 hours available to you every single week if you sleep 8 hours a night. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with your time? So number one, be prepared. That's the most important system that you can own. Own your time. If you don't own your time, something else will. Number 2 is never stop growing.
But how did you bring in new patients? Like, you open up your practice, you open up your doors. No one necessarily was right there and then.
Uh-huh.
You have to get out and spread the word and have some kind of marketing, and whatever that marketing looks like. But what specifically did you do to bring in so many new patients to your office?
I went door to door. When I was first opened, it obviously was December. We did our build out in a month, but in that month's time, so mid-November until early December, I went and introduced myself to every single business owner. I took them flyers for our grand opening. I went back and said hi again. Remember that people don't move like it takes 3 to 7 touches, 3 to 7 pokes, 3 to 7 connections for people to move. So your early adopters are 3 to 5, your middle adopters are 5 to 7, your late adopters are after 7. So it wasn't like I played tag with relationships. I kept going back, I kept going back, I kept going back. The first year that I was open, I advertised in our local newspaper, and please recognize I didn't live in a metropolis. We had about 5,000 people in our town. I did press releases like non-stop, meaning I
Yep.
always had a press release available for them. So whatever I wanted to go in the paper this week, I had several others, because here's the deal with newsprint. They're either paying for it to get it from like AP or another source, or they're paying somebody to find it. Instead, I said, hey, I can really help you out. I'll provide you with all kinds of health articles that I've written, and you can publish them for free, and I'll have them available for you. They'll be timely. So when it's cold and flu season, I'll have an article for you. When it's back to school season, I'll have an article for you. When it's slip and fall season, I'll have an article for you. And I had them ahead of time. I had them ready to go. And I constantly reminded them, like, hey, don't forget I have this article and here's a press release. Don't forget I have this article, here's a press release. So it was being prepared. So I used the newspaper, I went door to door, and I did tons of events, and I was everywhere. We walked in our Christmas parade. I had kids dressed up in big, huge stone vertebrae, and I would yell subluxation, and they would turn their flashlights off and say power off, and they would all go out of alignment. And then I would say adjustment, and they'd get into alignment and turn their flashlights on, because the parade was at nighttime for Christmas, and they'd say power on. And so we walked in every parade that we could and gave out, flyers about the office. I sponsored Little League teams, and not only was it my name on the T-shirt, I showed up. I provided water bottles for the team. I took pictures. I wrote postcards to each of the kids throughout the season with a picture with me and them. My office manager looked over our newspaper to find which of our practice members were in the newspaper or somebody with their last name. And then we wrote them letters saying, hey, congratulations. We had a Community Stars program where people could nominate somebody in the community who is doing a great job, whether it was a philanthropist, a police officer, a fireman, a teacher, and they could nominate them. And then they would come to my office. I would do an interview. We would take a picture, and I would submit it to the newspaper. It was everything that I could do on a low budget, like for free, right? But it was all about building relationships in the community.
Right. And like you said, being everywhere.
Yeah.
You need to be everywhere for basically two main reasons. One, for branding, get your word out there, and two, to keep your clinic top of mind. People forget things. There's so much marketing, so much advertising are flashed at people's eyeballs every single day. So you can get lost in the shuffle. But if you're everywhere, anywhere that your potential patients look, whether it be online or in the community, it's your clinic that they will instantly think of if they, a friend, or one of their family members have a problem. So being everywhere is very important. Now, I just take a step back and talk about going door to door. And now I know when, some of you doctors heard about that, oh man, go door to door, she did that. Oh, I would never do that. It's so uncomfortable. Let me tell you a personal story, excuse me, of this guy I know. I never did it because I didn't think of it at the time. But there was a homeopath that I knew. He was a buddy of mine. He went door to door opening up his clinic. And you know what? I have to say, in my experience, homeopathic doctors have a very difficult time to develop a clinic. A lot of them, in my opinion, from what I've seen, they suffer. This guy, from going door to door, talking to his neighbors, both residential neighbors and business neighbors, he grew his practice massively in a very short period of time. In fact, ultimately, this guy became so popular that he had his own TV show. His name was Dr. Bryce Wild, and he's been on Dr. Oz several times. And he initially started his practice, and a guy I know him personally, he again started his practice by knocking door to door, and that's what built his practice. So don't be afraid of doing that. Get out of your comfort zone. Do what it takes to build your practice, and you will reap the rewards later. So,
And
excellent advice.
and I guess some of this is just humility. I would have to say, like, my dad is the most humble person and my son that you'll ever meet in your entire life. And many times when I've suggested the same strategy to doctors or even asking for referrals, they're like, yeah, but I don't want to appear needy. Hey, like, everybody, come in close. Do you want more new practice members?
Bam.
Like,
There it is.
if you
Actually,
do it. I loved going door to door. And even when I didn't need new practice members, I still loved going and meeting the people in my community. I mean, it was like so interesting to find out different things that were going on. And here's my philosophy: I don't have time in my life to experience everything. So I would rather learn from stories of other people so that I can pick and choose the directions that I want to go in my life, because I'm not going to go through every single thing just to figure out if I like it or I don't. So by getting to know your practice members, by getting to know the people in your community, maybe they're doing something you can latch onto. Maybe they're doing something that you can provide support in. Maybe like I ran like this ongoing press release in my office in our local paper that said, does your group organization need a meeting place? Call my office and find out if our space will be useful to you. So I had 3,400 square feet, and
wow.
1,000 of it was for education. I taught fitness classes. I taught 9 fitness classes a week. When I first opened, I taught a 5 a.m. class, a 7 p.m. class, and an 8 p.m. class. So, it did double duty. I got to work out when I didn't really have a whole lot of time with 2 little kids and a new practice. And I started coaching. So I opened my practice in December 98, and I started coaching spring of 99. I've also always been really active in our church. And so bringing people to my office, whether it was the Way Down workshop that used my practice, or there was an AA group that met in my office, or there was a TOPS group and a moms group. And the reason I wanted them to come in is my office was littered with testimonials. It pulsated with energy. I wanted people to come and see that this was a community, a place where the community could engage.
Outstanding. You know what? It's no wonder that you had such a busy practice. Last 2 questions.
Okay.
If you could start all over again, what would you have done differently to make your clinic more of a success?
Divorce my husband sooner? No, I'm kidding.
There you go. Good answer.
um, what would I have done to make it better? Um, I think life is an experiment, and if I hadn't made the mistakes that I did, I wouldn't have changed courses and grown to something bigger. So I think so. Here's the biggest thing: is I wouldn't have kept the free first visit as long as I did. I think I offered a free first visit for like 2 years, and I would have only done it for maybe a year. And when I opened, I was 100% cash. And then my husband at the time and our office manager had both been in practices that had done insurance. And so they're like, let's do insurance. Let's do insurance. And so I went that route. That's something I wouldn't have done. I would have stayed cash all the time.
Why is that?
Um, because insurance companies don't have the same philosophy I do about people. So here's a comment that I would often say to practice members about their insurance company when they would say to me, well, my insurance will only pay for 12 visits. Here's exactly what I would say at Scout's Honor. Hey, Richard, let me ask you something. At the insurance company, at Blue Cross Blue Shield, tell me the one person who knows your name, like knows who you are, knows you by name. Who's that person?
Uh, I don't know. No one at the insurance company. No.
No one, right? And tell me, at the insurance company, who's the person that knows that you haven't had a night of sleep in the last 2 months? You have screaming sciatica. It's starting to cause problems at work because you're missing more work. You haven't been able to go out and play with your kids, even though it's springtime and they're wanting your help with learning sports. Tell me who at your insurance company knows that?
No one at all.
Who at your insurance company knows that you hate the fact that you've been chewing Tylenol like it's, a breath mint because you're against chemical stress in your life, but yet you've had no other options? Who knows that there? I can't remember who.
No one.
Okay.
No one at all.
So who knows all of that stuff about you that I just said?
Pretty much you.
So who's in the best position to create a care plan for you to regain and keep your health?
You.
Perfect. So that's why my care instructions for your first 36 visits are 3 times a week for the next 8 weeks and twice a week for 16 weeks after that. Are we on the same page?
Got it, Doc. that's yeah, very smooth again. Excellent.
And so
Excellent.
that comes from a communication formula called clarification, points of agreement, solution. I taught my kids to play cards when we were little. We didn't watch TV, so we played a lot of games and we played a lot of cards. And I always taught them, keep your cards close to your vest. Like, don't show everybody else what you got. And that's the same thing in communication. You go through clarification. What's the challenge? You get to points of agreement. Like, are we on the same page? And then you give your solution. So often we throw our solution before we've done those other things, and then it doesn't work. So clarification, points of agreement, solution.
Bam. So you've given us massive amounts of actionable steps and usable information, just an abundant amount. So this might be a bit of a difficult question to ask you. What parting piece of advice can you give to students that are about to graduate and start their chiropractic career?
Hire a coach. I mean, honestly, I don't mean that to sound trite because I'm a coach, but if you look at anyone who's successful in business or sports or like even being a parent, they didn't do it alone. And so often I'm contacted by new doctors and like they're not sure they can afford coaching. And so I asked them, like, give me the list of what you're going to go to the bank with in order to open your practice. And, they've got an x-ray machine, they've got this and da. And my question is always like, where in your budget does it show who's going to teach you how to have practice members in your office in order to be used on all of that stuff? So if you don't have anyone in your practice, what's the point of an x-ray machine? If you don't have anyone in your practice, what's the point of software? If you don't have anyone in your practice to use your new fancy EMG or whatever it is, what's the point of it? So you have to learn the business side of being a chiropractic entrepreneur first. You've already learned how to be a clinician. So the best way to find out if a coach is a fit for you is to determine if their lifestyle is a match, because our practice always is a direct reflection of who we are. So if my lifestyle is such that I serve myself broke, if my lifestyle is such that I'm a slave to my practice, if my lifestyle as your coach is that it's chaos and I'm broke, then I'm only going to be able to teach you to do the same things that I've done. So when looking for a coach or a coaching program, make sure it's one also that is going to honor your innate potential, who you are, that it's not going to be, here, let me put you in this system and you're just going to follow it. And you're going to have to change your morals. You're going to have to change your values. You're going to have to change your goals in order to fit this program. That's ridiculous. So just like I told Dr. Richard, a great starting point, whether you're new to practice or you're a seasoned veteran chiropractor, at a low price point is the 0 to 180 program. I go through, like I said, referral systems, testimonial systems, financial systems, educational systems. I am launching that again. I haven't done it in a little while. I've revamped the materials. I'm launching it again the beginning of January. If you've listened to this podcast and you're interested in that, let me know. You'll save $100. If you want to consider private coaching, shoot me an email and we'll discuss what that possibility is, and I'll give you an opportunity to apply to be a coaching club member.
Perfect. And for all that are listening, I'll have everything in the show notes. If you want to take advantage, which I strongly recommend you do, if you want to take advantage of Dr. Eaton's program, just mention the Crushing It podcast and she'll take care of you. Thank you so much, Doctor. Again, it's been an outstanding interview. And again, we've taken a long time to connect with one another, but it was so worth the time and the wait. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks for all that you do for our profession. I know that you could be doing something different with all of your talents and your amazing history. If you don't know about Dr. Richard, I encourage you to get to know him better. He's a man full of love and passion and loves his family and practice what he preaches. So thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you for the compliments. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us today on the Crushing It podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach us at contact us at elitechirowebsites.com or make a post on our Facebook fan page at facebook.com/elitechirowebsites. And remember, if your website is not working for you and driving you new patients, or you're in need of a website, take advantage of our 2-month free trial offer today. Just go to elitechirowebsites.com or call 1-888-558-5054.